So let me begin by drilling a little bit down on the tax credits, and we're going to get a little bit more into this in the panel, but I wanted to provide sort of the basic framework for what the tax credit and what it looks like. First important thing to know is that the tax credit's available to businesses who have employees. So unfortunately, the tax credit, in this case, we're talking about the small business tax credit, is not available for self-employed entrepreneurs, although there are other tax credits that they may benefit from. It's available now. The tax credit actually took effect in 2010. And one of the biggest things that we see is that a lot of folks actually don't know about the tax credit. We've heard from a lot of small business owners that they don't know about it. Accountants are now really getting up to speed. A lot of accountants now know more about the tax credit. But really, when the law was first passed in 2010, a lot of folks didn't even know that the small business tax credit was in place. Which businesses are eligible? There's generally three basic criteria, and the tax credit does work on a sliding scale, which we'll talk a little bit about. First, it's important to know that it's fewer than 25 full-time employees. The vast majority of small businesses in our country are actually 10 employees and under, so that does actually capture the vast majority of small businesses in the country. Average annual wages for the firm, which actually don't include the employer's salary, have to be under $50,000, and that the employer, if they're offering coverage, must pay at least 50% of the premium cost. So we were very interested. Well, okay, how many folks actually qualify for this tax credit? We went out and we did a report, and the report actually showed us that about 85,000 Missouri small businesses qualify for some portion of the tax credit. You can see here that that's about 92% of small businesses are in that eligibility range, which is why we've been doing a lot of education about the tax credit and trying to get the word out about it. The tax credits work on a sliding scale. So from the years 2010 to 2013, it covered 35% of the premium cost. In 2014, that actually goes up to 50%. The important thing to know here is that in order to access the tax credit in 2014, small employers actually have to purchase coverage through the small business marketplace, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about moving forward. The tax credit, in terms of talking about premium expenses, you can see here that's comprehensive medical coverage, including dental, vision, and long-term care. And the tax credits actually do not cover premium expenses of owners in the family. So this is very focused on the employer's employees that are not relatives. And actually, when you're figuring out the average annual wage of salaries across your company, you do not take into effect the owner of the business's salary, which happens generally to make sort of the highest salary range, which allows more flexibility generally to get into that average of the 50,000 range. And then it's important to know that you can actually amend your tax credit for past years. So if you think that you benefited from the tax credit from 2010 to 2013, and you're just learning about it today, and you benefit potentially from the tax credit, you can actually go back on your taxes and take advantage of the tax credit. The tax credits are also available for nonprofits. We hear a lot about, well, are nonprofits considered small businesses? Yes, they are, and they actually benefit from the tax credit. The tax credit, as you know, since nonprofits are not liable for taxes, most are 501c3 organizations, the tax credit is a little bit different. The sliding scale works a little bit different. It's up to 25% for 2010 to 2013, and then 35% for any 2 years in 2014. And so it's important to know that for folks who do decide to take the tax credit in the exchange, they can use it for any 2 years of their choosing, up to 10 years starting in 2014. So there is some flexibility in the tax credit in terms of how you might want to use it depending on what your tax situation and your tax liability is for the year. For nonprofits, you include the amount on line 44F of the 990T, which is a pretty standard tax form for most nonprofits. It's important to know that it does not have to be publicly reported, and this is a refund for tax-exempt employers.